A guy rolled into my bay last Tuesday almost glowing about the brand new RAV4 he'd just signed for. $38,000 out the door after the dealer stacked a market adjustment on top of sticker. He wanted me to look it over before his first road trip. I walked around it, popped the hood, and then I did something that wiped the smile right off his face. I pulled up my phone and showed him a listing for an SUV with a nicer interior, a more powerful engine, and a reputation for hitting 300,000 miles. The price, $9,000. He stared at it for a long second and asked the question I hear at least once a week. Wait, why does nobody know about this? After 22 years under cars, I can tell you exactly why. It wears the wrong badge for being this cheap, and the badge it does wear scares people into thinking it must be expensive to own. Both assumptions are dead wrong. Today, I'm breaking down the single most underrated used SUV on the market, the one I'd hand my own daughter the keys to, and showing you why a brand new RAV4 is, dollar for dollar, one of the worst deals on a dealer lot right now. Let's get into it. The SUV is the Lexus RX 350, specifically the 2009 and 2010 model years, and I'll explain in a minute why those exact years are the sweet spot. Right now, the average 2009 RX 350 sells for somewhere around $8,800. I've personally watched clean ones in the $8,000 to $10,000 range get passed over by buyers who walk right past them to go finance a compact crossover for 3 to 4 times the money. It makes me want to grab them by the collar. Let me tell you about the customer who changed how I talk about this car. 2 years ago, a woman in her 50s came in, recently retired, careful with money, the kind of person who reads every line of a contract. She had been shopping for new RAV4s and was rattled by the prices. She told me a dealer wanted a few thousand over sticker price and acted like she should be grateful for the privilege. I asked her what she actually needed: comfortable, quiet, reliable, and planning to keep it 10 years. I told her to forget the RAV4 entirely and showed her a one-owner 2010 RX 350 with 96,000 miles for $9,400. Leather, moonroof, the whole thing. She was skeptical. She asked, "It's a Lexus. Won't the repairs bankrupt me?" That's the myth I had to kill. She bought it. 18 months later, she was past 120,000 miles. Total spend on repairs and maintenance was under $700. She texted me one line, "I will never buy a new car again." Here's why I'm so confident putting people into these. The heart of the RX 350 is Toyota's 3.5-liter V6, the 2 GRFE. And this is the part that should make every RAV4 shopper pause. That same engine family, same block, same architecture, powers the Toyota Camry, the Highlander, the Sienna, the Avalon, the old RAV4, and a whole row of Lexus models. Toyota built millions of them because they figured out how to make a 6-cylinder that simply refuses to die. It's naturally aspirated, so there's no turbo to blow. It's chain-driven, so there's no timing belt to replace at 90,000 miles. It's port injection in these years, so you don't get the carbon buildup headaches that plague a lot of modern direct injection engines. I have personally seen these motors cross 300,000 miles on nothing but oil, plugs, and water pumps. Not a story I heard at a parts counter. These are engines I've had my own hands inside of. Now let's talk about what you're actually comparing this to, because the contrast is brutal. The 2026 RAV4 is all new, and it's now hybrid only across the entire lineup. The base LE starts at $33,350 with destination, and it climbs past $44,000 for a loaded limited. And because demand outpaces supply, dealers have been tacking on $3,000 to $7,000 in pure markup on the hotter trims. So realistically, you are looking at $35,000 to $40,000 to drive a new compact RAV4 off the lot. For that money, you are getting a 4-cylinder hybrid in a small crossover with cloth or synthetic leather and a commuter-grade interior. For $9,000, the RX350 gives you a V6, genuine leather, a moonroof, a whisper-quiet cabin that Lexus engineered to isolate you from the road, and the same powertrain DNA that has been proven for 2 decades. The RAV4 buyer financed roughly $30,000 of depreciation. The RX buyer let somebody else eat all of it years ago. That is the part that makes the new RAV4 look like a scam. Not that it is a bad vehicle, but that the math is so lopsided once you understand what depreciation does to a luxury SUV. Let me hit the honest counterpoint, because I am not here to sell you a fairy tale. The one area where the new RAV4 genuinely wins is fuel economy. The 2026 RAV4 Hybrid is rated up to the mid-40s miles per gallon combined. The RX350 V6 will give you roughly 19 miles per gallon in the city and low to mid-20s on the highway. That is a real gap. If you are driving 25,000 miles a year on a long commute, the fuel savings matter, and you should run the numbers for your own situation. But for the average driver doing 10,000 to 12,000 miles a year, the fuel difference is maybe a few $100s annually. The RAV4 buyer is paying $25,000 extra upfront to save a few hundred a year on gas. You would have to drive that RAV4 for a human lifetime before the fuel savings caught up to the price gap. That is the math the dealership will never put in front of you. Now, the inspection checklist, and pay attention because buying the right RX 350 is everything. This is where I earn my keep, and this is the difference between a $9,000 home run and a money pit. First, and this is non-negotiable, the VVTi oil line. The early second-generation RX 350s, roughly from 2007 to 2011, came from the factory with a rubber section in a high-pressure oil line. Over time, that rubber can crack, and when it lets go, it can dump the engine's entire oil supply onto the road in under a minute. I've seen the aftermath, and it's ugly. A starved engine is a dead engine. Here's the good news. Toyota issued a service campaign and a revised metal line to fix it. So when you're looking at one of these, you ask one question. Has the VVTi oil line been replaced with the updated metal line? If yes, get paperwork. If nobody knows, that's not a deal breaker, it's a negotiating tool. The part is cheap. The fix runs around $300 to $500 with labor, and you should do it the day you buy the car regardless. Knock it off the price and walk in knowing you've handled the one thing that can actually hurt this engine. Second, check the dash. The 2007 era interiors used a plastic that does not love heat and UV, and in hot climates the dash can crack or get tacky. It's cosmetic, it will not strand you, but a full dash replacement isn't cheap, so factor it in. Honestly, the 2009 and 2010 cars are better here, which is part of why I steer people to those years. Third, look underneath for oil seepage around the timing cover and the valve cover gaskets. On a 15-year-old engine, a little weeping is normal and cheap to reseal. A soaked, dripping mess is a different story. That tells you the car was neglected. Get on the ground or get it on a lift. 2 minutes of looking saves you $2,000. Fourth, if it's all-wheel drive, take it to an empty lot, crank the wheel to full lock, and drive a slow circle in both directions. Listen and feel for binding, clunking, or grinding. The RX's all-wheel drive system is durable, but you want to confirm it before you sign, not after. Fifth, and this is the PRO move, find one owned by an older couple. I'm completely serious. The RX 350 attracts a buyer who garages the car, does every oil change at the dealer, and never once takes it off pavement. A two-owner RX with a folder full of service records and 90,000 gentle miles is basically a time capsule. That's the unicorn. When you find it, don't haggle yourself out of it over $200. On the years, I push people toward 2009 and 2010. The 2009 model is the final year of the second generation, and the kinks were well sorted by then. The 2010 model kicks off the third generation with updated styling and refinements. Both give you that proven V6, both land right in that $8,000 to $10,000 window, and both have had plenty of time for any weak original part to already have been replaced by a previous owner. Just confirm that OIL line. So who should buy this SUV? If you want luxury-grade comfort and quiet without a luxury-grade payment, this is the move. You're getting maybe 90% of a brand new luxury SUV experience for a quarter of the price. If you're a buyer who keeps a vehicle until the wheels fall off, the 2 GRFE engine will outlast almost anything else in this price range, and parts are everywhere and cheap because Toyota put that engine in everything. If you're tired of dealers treating you like you owe them a favor for the chance to overpay, walking in with cash for a clean used RX is the most satisfying thing you'll do all year. And if you simply refuse to hand a bank $30,000 of guaranteed depreciation, this is your escape hatch. Who should skip it? If you genuinely drive enormous miles and fuel economy is your top priority, the RAV4 hybrid's mileage might justify the cost over the long haul. Run your own numbers honestly. If you need the latest safety tech, like radar cruise, lane keeping, and automatic emergency braking, a 15-year-old SUV doesn't have it. And for some buyers, that's worth real money. And if you want a factory warranty and the peace of mind of something brand new, no used car gives you that. Those are legitimate reasons. Everything else is just badge anxiety. Let me give you the mechanic math because this is what it all comes down to. Buy a clean Lexus RX 350 for $9,000. Do the oil line for $400 the first week. Plan on routine maintenance, oil, plugs, brakes, a water pump somewhere down the line, maybe a battery, and budget $2,500 over the next 100,000 miles. You're all in around $12,000 to own a quiet, leather-lined V6 luxury SUV for a decade. The RAV4 buyer spent that much just on the down payment and the first year of payments, and they still owe a bank for years. If a remanufactured engine ever became necessary, and with this motor it rarely does, a good used 2 GRFE runs around $1,500 because Toyota made millions of them. Try finding a cheap drivetrain for a 15-year-old German SUV. You can't. So there it is. The Lexus RX 350, a $9,000 SUV with a 300,000-mile engine, a luxury interior, and a badge that scares away exactly the people who would benefit from it most. It's not that the new RAV4 is junk, it's that the gap between what you pay and what you get has gotten so wide that the smart money quietly walks the other direction. Next time a salesman slides a payment sheet across the desk and tells you a compact crossover is a great investment, you'll know the truth. Cars aren't investments. They're depreciating tools. And the cheapest way to own a great one is to let somebody else pay for the first 10 years of it. If this kind of straight talk saves you from a bad deal, do me a favor and hit subscribe. I have more videos on the car dealerships that push the most versus the ones that actually make sense. And if you want to see the used SUVs I would trust to cross 300,000 miles without blinking, I broke those down in another video, and it is right here. That's 22 years of watching people overpay and a few smart ones who did not. Drive safe, take care of your car, and it will take care of you. I will see you in the next one.